No. She said she had a little like a little throat action.
But well, we're lucky she has other talents, right? All right. So
okay,
let's take a quick second and welcome our special guest today, Kassandra. I'm not gonna try and pronounce her last name. I know it starts with an S.
Yeah, you want to try?
Kassandra, Jesus, come help me. Skoulikides.
Hey, it's pretty good. Skoulikides, yeah.
Skoulikides.
Yeah.
Is that
Skoulikides.
Skoulikides.
is that Greek
Okay.
or?
It's Greek, yeah.
Okay,
Great.
cool.
All right. Well,
Welcome
yes.
welcome to Day and Night.
Thank
Welcome to
you.
Day and Night. This
Happy
is
to
where
be
we
here.
actually have conversations day and night
and
day
day.
and night
That's right,
and
that's
day
right.
and night. All right.
Yeah, it's a vibe,
you
it's a
could have
mood.
been a part of it, but
I was trying no, I know, but I was really trying to just process if you guys were expecting me to stay here until nighttime when I was here. And
No.
I was like, oh, wait,
no,
hold on
no,
a second.
No. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, if you can talk all the way to.
I mean, we'll see
nighttime,
how far we can
right?
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I like it. I love it.
Yes,
All
welcome
right.
to our audience, whether they listen to us day or night. It's all good.
Ah, okay.
See what we did there?
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, that's us.
Yes.
So-
So yeah, let's get right into it, Kassandra. Could you tell us a bit of what you do? What's your background? How you came to this table here with us,
geez.
talking to our wonderful audience?
Okay. Well, the whole background is a really long story.
We got time. We do this day and
Yeah?
night.
Okay. Well, when I started out, I started out in cinema. So I started studying film.
Oh.
I love movies. Always love movies. I used to work in a movie theater for 2 years when I was a teenager. And we got free movies with that. So I saw like 3 movies a week. And so I thought that meant I would probably really enjoy making movies. So I studied film for a year. I got a job offer on a film set in Montreal. And I really hit it off with the producer. And a month after that, she sent me an email saying, if you can get a work visa to come to Germany, I'd love to hire you for a year. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's what I'm studying for. So I might as well jump on that.
Damn.
Yeah, so right before my 18th birthday, I got on a plane and I went to Germany. I was there for 3 years, and then we went to England, and then we went to Bosnia, and it was
So you filmed like movies?
yeah.
What?
Well, we did documentaries.
Movies.
Yeah.
Yes. Movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was your role precisely?
I was the unit coordinator, so I was basically the producer's assistant. So I helped book interviews. I helped book hotels if we needed them. I booked flights. I prepared questions for interviews. Anything they needed me to do. I was basically just their right hand.
Okay.
And that was a really cool experience. But I started to feel more that just because I liked watching movies didn't mean that I necessarily wanted to make them for the rest of my
There's
life.
a big difference.
Yeah, like I had a passion for it, but was it something I wanted to do forever? Probably not. And I was living out of a suitcase thing kind of started to get old.
Yeah.
Too. I miss
You
my
want
family.
stability. Yeah, of course.
And, well, I miss my family. I was ready to come home. I hadn't seen everyone in like almost 2 years. So
Damn.
yeah. So I got on a plane. I came home, and then I was like, oh my god.
To
no.
Montreal.
To Montreal.
Yes, Montreal. Good.
Yes, I love Montreal. Like I thought I didn't, and then when you get taken away from it, I'm like, you know what?
See,
Montreal's my home.
Yeah.
Y'all better be hearing that.
MTL.
Complaining about the winter.
We complain about the winter, we complain about the traffic, but we don't ever get very far for long. So I came back and I got a job at an office, and for me it was like soul crushing because I was so used to traveling around and doing my own thing, and
Changes the pace, huh?
it really changed the pace. But we had a girl who was there, and it was a property management company, and she was renting the apartments for the landlord, and she decided she was going to go back to school, so she left them. And I was so bored with this receptionist position that I started taking her phone calls for her. And they were listening to me selling these apartments over the phone. They were like, hey, you're pretty good at that. We're going to promote you to our leasing department. So I did that for a year and a half, I think. And my commissions were $50 an apartment I rented. And
Wait, like how, like whatever price the apartment cost?
whatever it cost.
You
I
get
got-
$50.
I got $50. I mean,
Okay.
I also got, an hourly pay.
Oh,
So it was
But-
like on top of it. I mean, I was 19 at the time, so
Oh, it's pretty young. Oh.
No, sorry, it's 20 when I started with them. Yeah. And for me, that was good money. Like, if I could make an extra $250, $300 a week, I was happy. But then one day I was going through the Atwater Tunnel and I hit a pothole and I busted my tire. And I had to take a taxi to my job. And when I got there, my boss was like, "Oh, can you help me book a family vacation for my whole family to Mexico?" And I was like, "Oh, sure." And he's like, "Yeah, things have been going so well." Like, he's like, "Can you?"
So you're making him money.
Yeah. So I was booking this vacation for him, and then it dawned on me. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm making this guy rich, and I don't know how I'm gonna pay for my freaking tire."
Oh,
like,
that hit you.
You're so stupid.
That hit you. No, I wouldn't call you stupid. I would say like
no, but
like
I was
most people
naive.
need this. You need that that call, that
Yeah.
hello,
That drive, that
wake up.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's it. But I was going above and beyond for them, like above and beyond. I had a BlackBerry that they gave me, and I would answer phone calls from possible tenants at all hours. I had tenants calling me for just like random issues in their apartments too, because they knew that I was the person who answered the phone. I was doing everything for them.
So you're very driven, and that's one of I would say one of the top qualities to do what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Which is.
Yeah, and I think more now I'm seeing that people do lack drive, and when certain people see that someone's working hard, they're gonna value it, or they're gonna take it for they're gonna take advantage of you. And I'm still very close with that family who hired me. I went to their wedding. I went to his daughter's wedding. You know, but at the end of the day, I knew that if I put the same energy and passion into something for me, that's what was going to make the most sense. It was really scary though, because it was full-time school to become a real estate agent.
Okay, real estate.
Yeah. But I knew that everyone was telling me, "Oh, if you rent an apartment as a real estate agent, the commission is the first month's rent." I'm like, forget that $50. You can get a whole month's rent. And I was like, oh my God. So I calculated what I could have made if I was an agent in the past year on all the properties I rented for them. And I was like, okay, well, that'll be perfect. Like, it's okay. I'll take a chance. I'll go back to school. So I sold my car. I got a bus pass. I rented a cheaper apartment in NDG, and I signed up. I trained my replacement at the office I was working for, and then I started full-time in school. And I remember I had a mini heart attack. Actually, I had many heart attacks during that course. The first one was when I went in and they're like, "Welcome to the real estate brokerage course." And I was like, "Real estate broker?" I'm like, "What's that? I'm here to be a real estate agent." I had no clue.
I believe you.
Yeah.
I believe you had no clue.
I had no clue. So I was like literally Googling on my phone. I was like, difference between an agent and a broker. Anyway.
Wait, quick question.
Is there a difference?
Well, not for me, because we know, but for other people listening who might not know,
Okay.
Yeah.
is there a difference?
Yeah.
So in the States, there is a difference, because an agent is someone who can open the door for a visit, and they can give basic information. And a broker is someone who can actually broker the transaction, so who can write up the documents, and they have more legal responsibility. But in Quebec, it's the same thing. So you can't be an agent. You can only be a broker. It's just that because culture refers to us as agents. People call us agents, but we are brokers.
Yeah, that's exactly the explanation I would have gave if I was the one that would have given.
So could you tell our audience that maybe they have that drive, maybe they want to do something like you? What does it take to perform well as a real estate broker?
You just need to have a lot of dedication, and you have to be patient, because it takes a long time for your business to turn into something where you're getting repeat business and the phone is ringing for you, because it's not going to happen for the first 2 years. And I think that people sometimes go into this business and they think, well, I'm talented and I'm going to work hard. So, by the end of my first year, I'm going to be making 6 figures. And it doesn't work like that.
It's all about keeping up,
Exactly. The truth is, it's really expensive to be a real estate agent.
In the beginning or always?
Always. I mean,
what are the expenses? Tell me about
you have to pay your agency. So you have to pay your agency a rent. Okay, which can go anywhere from like $300 a month to $1,000 a month, depending on what banner you want to work underneath.
Okay.
And then most agencies will also take a percentage of your commissions.
On top of it.
You're self-employed, so the government, as soon as you're profitable, they will take a big chunk of that too. And just your license. I mean, the license every year to renew it, it's going to cost you around $3,000 for everything. Wow. You have to take mandatory courses every year, and those courses are each around $100 sometimes.
To sell houses?
Yeah.
They're houses. They don't move.
Yeah. Exactly.
For all the legalese, I'm guessing, for all the legal stuff, it's important.
And the reality is, in the beginning, I know a lot of brokers say, oh, never cut your commission, you know your value, this and that. But when you're just starting out, people are still taking a gamble. They're taking a chance on you, you know what I mean? So you kind of do have to cut your costs a little bit. And I did that a lot my first year. You know, standard commission is 5%, and sometimes I did it for as low as 3%. I would offer a collaborating broker 2% if they brought me a buyer, and I would keep 1%. And then after all my expenses, I was basically breaking even, but I was building my client base.
Exactly.
So, yeah, you have to spend a lot of money to make a lot of money.
And that's how it is in everything.
You talked about building your client base. How important is that for a real estate agent?
Very important. I think I'm a little bit sometimes of a social recluse.
Okay, I feel you. Same here.
I'm an introvert by nature. So when people are telling me, "Oh, you need to go to 5 cassettes, and you need to schmooze, and you need to make your connections and talk to people," and I thought, you know what? My work will speak for itself. I don't need to do that. But the reality is, I need to go shake people's hands. I need to start on social media. I didn't have Facebook before I was an agent, and then my agency director was like, "You're being stupid. Like, open your Facebook. You're gonna connect with people who forgot about you. You're gonna people that you forgot about, and people need to know that you're an agent." And I thought, oh, God, okay. So I opened my Facebook, and it's true. A lot of business came from there too. So I had to, upkeep a social media presence, and I had to put pictures of myself and my boyfriend and my dogs, and so the people felt like they can connect with me, and you have to constantly do it too, so people know you're there. So everything was a challenge. To be honest, it was all a challenge, but it was worth it.
Oh, could you tell the audience some of the misconceptions they have about real estate agents?
Vous êtes tous des crasseurs.
Oh my God.
No, that's just me.
I mean, some of them are. I'm not gonna lie.
You said it. We got facts here.
We got a good one here, though. We got a good one here, though.
I think it's because of how expensive it is to be an agent. I think that some of them, when, the bills are racking up, and, they're put in a situation where if they're honest, the sale might not go through.
Yeah, they
and
get
if
hungry.
They tell a little white lie and they kind of boost something up, then, that means $10,000 in their pocket. That's paying their, you know what I mean? That's going to pay for their groceries and pay for their mortgage and, their kids. And so sometimes I think that they're kind of backed into a corner, and they feel like they need to kind of tell these white lies. But in my opinion, it never works out in the long run, because once someone feels like they've been lied to, or they feel wronged, or they even feel like you're being a little like a used car salesman.
That trust that you built.
Exactly. They're not, and it's never about that one transaction that you're working on. It's all about repeat business. So I know that, for example, if I give someone, I'll give you an example. There was a duplex in Lachine that came on the market 2 years ago, and they were asking like $330,000. And the agent called me, and he said, "Look," and this was he was a little bit of one of those sketchy agents, because he just wanted to make a deal. And he said, "Look, Sandra," he goes, "my client is 19 years old. Her father passed away. She has no clue what this building is worth. She will take anything, and she'll just to be rid of this place, and she will walk away. She will sell this duplex for as little as $220,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And it had wood floors. It was in good condition. There were tenants that had been there for 3 years paying their rent. And I was like, oh my God. And at the same time, I was helping my clients look for income property. I was also looking for income property for myself. And that was the area we were both looking in. So I had this moment where and this was a place they had visited. I had a moment where I thought, you know what? If I go put an offer on this myself, I'm getting a once in a lifetime deal, but I'm screwing over my clients.
Dead ass.
So what I did was, I thought about it, and I called them and I said, "Look, you have 24 hours to put an offer on this place, or I'm going to jump on it." I said, "You put it in at 220, and it's going to get accepted." I felt bad for that girl, but at the end of the day, she chose her agent. My responsibility is to represent my clients in their best interest, and it was in their best interest, obviously, to get an amazing deal. So my clients put an offer on it right away, and it stung a little bit, because I knew that I could have made that deal happen for myself really easily. But those same clients just invited me to their wedding, because right after they got that, they were able to buy their first home a lot sooner. They were able to plan their wedding a lot sooner. Now they're looking at getting a 12-plex in St. Hubert, with 2 other investors. So it really kick-started
A whole
it started the ball
relationship,
rolling
yeah.
for them, and they've never looked back. Like whenever I sold her grandfather who passed away, I sold his house. I sold her husband's mother's house.
Okay.
Like
So it's like you become part of the family.
part of
you
the
know?
family.
Yeah, that's
And-
dope. That's dope.
And
So-
in the long run, it did come back to you.
Yeah, so it wasn't worth that one transaction. It's never going to be worth that one transaction. You can, as soon as you start thinking about your pockets before your clients, that's when I've seen so many careers just flush down the toilet because they just take that
course.
one moment where they put themselves before their clients. And people will always sense it. People aren't stupid. They're educated
Yeah.
now. They're
And that's how it is. Like, I mean, if you're trying to like make a bit of money on the short term on somebody's back today, it'll come and bite you later on. In terms of like, if you tell yourself, you know what, I'll be honest today, and on the long term,
Yeah.
it could bring you a whole lot more
yeah.
than just like that little thing that you could have gotten if you would have been like a dick,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Speaking about,
Dicks.
not about custom.
Yo, she can't even say it.
Okay, dicks.
She said it.
Speaking about, customers choosing their real estate, what are the questions a person for our audience, what are the main questions they should ask to find the most suitable
Agent for
a
them.
real estate agent for them? What are the main ones that maybe sometimes they miss or they don't think about, and it's like, oh wow, I should have asked that question. Like,
Well, it depends. I think if you're looking to buy something, you're looking for an agent to help you buy, read their testimonials online. Like do your homework, because a client who's been wronged by an agent will often turn to the internet now and they'll leave a negative review. And, sometimes they're not true. Sometimes, you don't have both sides of the story. But if there's multiple, maybe it's a red flag for you. And if they're all positive reviews, then okay, this person is serious about their business. Not everyone also is going to go out of their way to leave a testimonial. So agents who care about their business enough to ask a client to go in and be like, hey, can you take the time?
to
testimonials
I
big.
think that's usually,
Okay.
but the most important thing for buyers is that you click together, because the reality is you're going to be spending a lot of time together. You're going to be sitting in traffic together. You're going to be visiting homes together. You're going to lose homes together. You're going to, have inspections that might go wrong. And, it's this whole process buying. So you need to make sure that you have a good relationship with your broker and you feel like you can trust them and you feel like you would work well together, and then go from there. I think that it's hard for buyers. I mean, because when you're working with an agent, it's supposed to be free. Okay, as a buyer. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions too, by the way.
It's when
is
you sell that you get
Yeah.
a cut. or
Let's
something, right?
talk about buyer and then seller. So
Yeah.
what are the things you were talking about, things that they should ask you? So for buyers,
So
it's
for a
free,
buyer,
yeah.
I think it's more important that you mesh well with the agent. If you're not sure about the broker and they ask you to sign a buyer's contract, okay, for me that's a red flag. I've never signed a buyer's contract with any of my clients. That means that if they find a property where the broker isn't offering a collaborating commission, your buyer needs to pay your commission. Okay, so I don't think that's fair. I think that I've helped clients buy for free. Sometimes they found a property on Duproprio, like for sale by owner, or the other agent was just, not doing his job properly and he didn't offer a fair collaborating commission. Like I've done it before for my clients. I don't think you should have to pay a commission on top of that. And I think that a lot of buyers don't understand what that contract means, because agents will sell it as, oh, this just means that you can't work with other agents. No, it also means that if you go buy a property that isn't offering them a commission, you have to pay it out of your own pocket.
Oh, okay.
If you trust your agent and it's part of their process, okay, fine. But if it's someone that it's your first time working with them, I wouldn't sign a buyer's contract. And a lot of agents are going to get really mad at me if they hear me say that.
This is for the audience. This is for people who are...
But for the real people, like I
Exactly.
wouldn't sign a buyer's contract. I haven't signed one in almost 4 years as an agent, so I don't think they're necessary. If you're a seller,
seller part.
yeah.
Okay.
If you're looking for a broker as a seller, I think the most important thing to ask them is, will you be present for the visits with anyone?
Really?
Yeah, because it's actually really messed up. I'd say that 90% of brokers right now, they install a key box outside of their listings.
Okay.
And then let's say I'm representing the buyer and I'm working with my buyers and I say, okay, we want to visit Saturday at 1:30. That broker will say, oh, the key box code is 0142.
Wait. So wait.
Yeah.
So they won't even be there.
So wait, the potential buyer goes to the seller's house with nobody there?
With the buyer's broker.
Oh.
Yeah, but then what
So-
happens is, let's say I have 6 appointments that day with that buyer. Okay, I'm not going to remember everything about each property off the top of my head. You know what I mean? I might forget that one of them is located right around the corner from a daycare, and that's perfect for them because they have a toddler. You know what I mean? That would have been a selling point for that
So
property.
you can't really focus on each property.
You can't. Like, it's not realistic, and that's where the selling agent is supposed to be there. In my opinion, you're hiring them to sell your property for the highest possible amount.
You let them know
they
what's up.
should be there.
To
They should be
present
there
the
to do their
product. You have
job.
to present the product.
Exactly,
You
but-
can't just
Yeah. So
the key's right there. You do you.
Yeah, it's more than just the house. It's about the environment. What apart from the house are people evaluating?
The lifestyle, I'm guessing.
yeah, the
like everything
location,
location,
the investment
traffic.
potential. If they need to rent it out one day, what could they rent it for?
I haven't even thought of that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of factors that go into it, and that's another thing that you should look for in your buyer's broker. Do they have experience? Do they know the areas as well? Like, I think that new agents are. It's funny to say, but I think new agents can sell a house a lot better, like for a seller, than to represent a buyer in a purchase, because they're not as experienced. They're not going to see red flags like more experienced broker. They're not going to necessarily be as strong in negotiations. Whereas a listing broker, their job is to know their product, that one product, and know how to sell it and be present. But like I said, a lot of brokers do not. They install that key box, and it makes me crazy to no end. I mean, Bria knows. We shopped a lot together for properties, and like most of them was that key box. And like sometimes I play a game with my buyers, and it's called Find the Key Box, because sometimes brokers hide them. I'm like, okay, where is it now? And in the winter, sometimes it's like under the snow, and it's just.
So if you're selling your property, make sure that you find someone who's going to be present for you.
Going to be present, or if they can't be present, that they have someone that they work with on their team who will be present, because it makes a big difference. And frankly, I think that the board for real estate should make it mandatory that brokers be present, because that's where we're going wrong. I think as agents, we're making that mistake of installing these key boxes, and people are saying, well, why should I pay for a commission? I can sell my own house.
Exactly, dude wasn't here.
Yeah, he wasn't here. You know what I mean? Then we get an offer. They get an offer, and they'll say, oh, we reduced the price on the offer by $20,000 because there's an issue with the roof. But the seller knows that isn't really an issue, because
so
of this, and this. And he explained that to his agent, but his agent wasn't there, so now he's dealing with this low offer.
Exactly. They just lost 20 grand.
Yeah. So people have that kind of experience, and then I don't blame them for saying, you know what, I'm going to pay $1,000 to do proprio, and then no other commission. Why should I give you $15,000 to do what?
So speaking about that, people who sell by themselves using websites, or who want to sell or buy their own property.
Proprio. Kijiji.
What?
I ain't here to judge.
Facebook Marketplace.
Kijiji. Yeah, he's selling your house on
Yo, can you
Kijiji.
imagine you bought a house on Kijiji? Yo, dope.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. What would you say?
What?
Yeah,
What?
I have had clients who've done it before, and sometimes I'll offer to help them in those purchases, because
real?
I know that in 3 or 4 years they're going to call me to help them sell it. So I tell them, like, hey, let's make sure this is a solid deal, even if I'm not getting paid. Like,
Honestly, this thing was a joke. I did not know people would sell a house.
oh yeah,
Kijiji.
go on the real
On
estate section
Kijiji.
on Kijiji.
They
You
have a
can look.
section?
So
They have a section.
oh my god. So obviously you're a real estate agent. So I'm guessing you think that there's value in having a person sell or buy a house. Could you tell our audience who are thinking about it, who might have never dealt with a real estate agent, what are the advantages of dealing with someone who's physical rather than doing everything by themselves? Because maybe they'll think, oh, I save on the commission, but how about saving on the time? How about saving on the, marketing?
Troubles,
there's so
issues,
much.
headaches.
There's so much. First of all, I don't know if you've ever visited a property before as a buyer or even as a renter, but when the owner is present, or like let's say the tenant, the current tenant is present, that you never feel as at ease to really look around. You feel like you're encroaching on someone's space.
True.
Okay,
that's so true.
So that's the first thing. Like,
So is it better for them not to be there?
I always kick my sellers out. I always say, get out. Like, if you have kids, go for a walk, go to the park, go to your mother's house. Do not be in the house, because people are never comfortable. They don't want to see the owner. Like they don't want to see someone's home. They want to see a
I
house.
want to see a house. I want to be able to take a
Yeah.
shit in there, while I'm visiting. I want to, I want to make
Oh
this
my
place
God.
my house, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm getting.
So
taking
okay, so
notes,
that's
taking notes
a
here.
big reason why to have a real estate
Yeah,
agent.
well, the biggest reason is the forms and all the documentation, because it's so easy for people to make a mistake because they don't understand, like the legal aspects of a transaction. I knew a client who he sold his condo on Duproprio a few years ago, and he bought it from the developer. Okay, and when he bought it from the developer told him the square footage of your unit is 900 square feet. Okay, so when he put it on Duproprio, he took that same square footage.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah,
don't tell me.
but what happens is after it's delivered, you have to look at your certificate of location to see the real square footage. Okay, so he put in his listing 900 square feet. So the buyer purchased it. A year later, they were looking at their documents and they realized it was actually 790.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh
And
no!
so what they did was let's say they bought it for $350,000. Let's just do
Oh,
like
did
the
they
math
did
here.
some
So
fractions, some math, some
350,000
fractions?
Règle de
divided by
trois.
Règle de
900.
oh my
So
God!
they paid $388 a square
Per
foot.
square-
Okay, so
times
they said times
700.
let's say 110 square feet of difference is $42,777.
Oh no! He had to give that back.
So they went to court and he had to give that back because he misrepresented the property. So
Facts.
that would have cost
Yeah,
him
makes
maybe
sense.
$10,000 for an agent to broker that transaction. He thought he was saving on the commission, and in the long run, he lost a lot
But wait,
more.
you do have access to all the information on like internet to like your properties, like the square footage, the like depending on the city where you live.
Well,
like,
the certificate of location is a private document, so you can't get only the owner will have that document. You have access to the deeds of sale through the city. You have access to
Yeah.
deeds of loan. You can get the property
so,
taxes.
Are these documents like telling information that are true, that are facts?
Yeah, those are all true. It's just
Okay.
he had no clue, and
So
the buyer
he
was
never-
clueless too. And frankly, there was also probably a mistake on the notary's part because they're paid to verify these transactions, and it slipped her too. So I mean, it was just
whole
a
lot of
disaster.
slips, huh?
It was a disaster, and frankly, notaries make mistakes often. Like they're not superheroes.
Whoa!
You know, so you do need as many eyes on something as possible because you don't want headaches in the future. Even if you sell a property with no legal warranty, if you hide something or if they can prove that you knew
It'll
of something,
come back and
it will come
bite
back and
you in
haunt
the
you.
ass.
So it's always better to, I mean, it's better to just go the extra mile and
Yeah,
just
and be
pay a little bit,
represented.
and then you have peace of mind.
Yeah, and if money is an issue, like I understand there's some people who really like, let's say they overpaid for a property and they're in a bind, they have to sell, they can't afford a commission. Then what you can do is put it on Duproprio, but find an agent who will do the documentation for you for like a lump sum.
Oh,
okay, you
I
paid in
didn't
one
think
shot
about
and
that.
then-
Yeah.
Not all agents will do it because as soon as we do the documentation for a transaction, we're liable legally for up to 7 years. So
Okay.
we'll usually do it for at least a couple of thousand, depending on how complicated the transaction is. But you'll still find someone who will do it. So at least
So it's
you
better
have
than
that.
not having anything done and then paying
Yeah.
42,000. I can't even say it.
Yeah, imagine how his stomach probably sank when he got that information.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, before someone gets into the market to sell or to buy, audience thinking about it, what are some of the questions they should ask themselves before even, looking to get a real estate agent? What do you need to know about yourself and about your life before you start investing time into wanting to buy or sell? Are there any specific, like you get a client and you're like, you didn't think about this. I have to reject you for now. You're not ready for this, because you were talking to us about rejecting some because you don't accept everybody as a customer.
Well, look,
Come on,
okay.
you can tell us some stories, by the way, some juicy ones.
Yeah. Well, okay, look, if there's a client who isn't pre-approved for a mortgage,
Oh.
for me, that I feel like they haven't fully done their homework. Sometimes it's just
The
they
client?
don't understand. Yeah, like a buyer. Let's say you're looking to buy
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
And I was not pre-approved for the
for
mortgage.
a mortgage. So that means they didn't go to the bank. They haven't started the ball rolling. So in their head, they've used like they Google search like mortgage calculator.
But
and
isn't it at the bank that you get pre-approved for a mortgage?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing if you weren't approved, It's because
No. It's not that they weren't approved. It's just that they didn't even go to try and get approved yet.
They didn't take they
Yeah.
didn't take that first step. They
They didn't
skipped
take
that
that first
step and
step.
they went
Yeah.
right to you, for
okay,
example.
so they don't even know what the limit they could get on a mortgage
Exactly, and
before they
sometimes-
get to a
Exactly.
A real estate
real
agent,
estate
yeah.
agent.
And sometimes they'll have like debts they don't think will affect their ability to be approved, but they do affect their ability to be approved.
Yo,
or
remember that time we
sometimes-
went to the strippers? Yeah, might
Or-
come and bite us, and yeah.
There you go. Or they might have started a really good new job, but they're only on month 1 and they're still in probation period, and the bank will not approve you if you're in your probation period. So there's a whole bunch of factors, and sometimes people get really excited. and
I
can
never
respect
thought of that.
Yeah, so they'll get excited and they'll call me and they'll say, Sandra, we want to go visit properties. And when I was first starting out, I would say yes to everyone, and I never ever had a weekend, like ever. All my weekends were booked from like sunrise to sunset. They were booked.
You know what? If I can like make a quick parenthesis that
Yeah.
has nothing to do
Okay.
with real estate stuff and stuff, but you just mentioned when you first started, you had no weekends.
No.
Quick question.
Yeah.
It's not that I noticed that you're carrying this big ass ring, but I'm guessing you're in a
Yeah.
relationship. How does like this part of your mission, your vision affect your
geez.
relationship? Not having
Okay.
I know we just changed the subject, but that's my job.
I know,
you know?
that's okay.
The struggle
Let's
as a
take it
real
off.
estate
Let's take it
agent
Yeah.
coming up
How,
on the
like-
come
right
up.
to relationships. Okay, well, his name is Justin.
Hi,
Hey, Justin.
Hi, Justin.
Yes, and I started dating him right when I got back from England.
Germany. Oh,
Well, England was my last stop.
Mm.
Yeah. So right when I came back, I told myself I'm gonna get a summer boyfriend.
yo, you heard
Summer
Justin? Yo, you heard
boyfriend.
Justin?
Yeah.
Yo, you was just
Yeah,
a season,
he
my
was
bro.
He was a seasonal plan. I was like, we're gonna go to the Rhone and we'll go to restaurants and it'll be fun. And I guess I liked him a lot.
By the end of the
And he
summer,
turned into
eh?
a fall boyfriend, a winter boyfriend, and then 7 years later, fiance. But
Woo! Congrats, bro.
Congratulations.
Shout out,
Thank you.
Justin.
Yeah, but he's great. Honestly, he's really, really good. Like sometimes on weekends, if we want to spend time together and I have like a full day, he plays my chauffeur and he'll like drive me around and we'll like sit in traffic together.
I'm a woman, and like
Yeah.
it's so cool that you found someone that supported you in developing yourself and becoming who you truly wanted to
Yeah.
be. He wasn't holding you down, and he wasn't like, "Well, you're too busy making this money. I have to go over here and find someone else."
No.
It was like, "No, you know
Thank
what?
God for
Yeah.
him. Thank God, because I mean, and when I was starting out too, I get messages from like male clients, like, "Oh, I only do business over dinner," and like,
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I would have been like, yeah, and I would have bought Justin. Right, yeah, you paying for him too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, my man hungry. He got to eat.
just so people know, I never say yes to dinner for like dinner and business for me have nothing to do with each other.
Agreed.
Like, I'm not gonna we're not gonna go for lunch to discuss business. Like it's not like if you want to talk business, we're gonna talk business. If you want to go for lunch after, if we have a
We've
friendship,
reached that point.
at that point, okay, fine. But I will never meet with a new client for lunch. I find that I find it very frustrating, and it's also really hard sometimes to set aside that much time for someone. So I'm like, no, forget that. Men take it the wrong way too.
Yeah.
If you say yes to lunch for them, like.
Well, it depends on
So
how
what-
you
what's-
say yes.
What's the struggle for like an independent woman trying to, be kind of an entrepreneur, have her own business, work on her own hours?
Yo, be
You know, I know when I know when I shook your hand, it was a strong handshake, and I love that. I'm sorry, it's a small thing, but it's it's hard for us,
It is.
So how did you manage, being strong and like finding customers, dealing with men sometimes, and being maybe in
has to be,
a
that
certain
has to be
situation?
something.
How do you
have
navigate
to-
that?
You have to learn how to read people's characters. It's tricky. Like each client, like you're gonna have to react differently to them, and people who are business savvy, like they're not gonna take you seriously if you come in playing.
Like,
yeah,
there's a
exactly, like,
door
all ditzy.
here,
You
and
have
then there's
you
a
can't
bed
take-
maybe somewhere.
Exactly. You can't take any bullshit, and one of like those things is lunch, for example. And a lot of my male clients, when I told them, I'm sorry, I do not do lunch. If you want to talk business, you can meet me in my office, or I can meet you at your office.
Yeah, that
or we
must have
can
turned
have
them
a,
on.
But they respect it. They respect it because they've had a
course.
lot of real estate agents, you know, bend over backwards for them. And frankly, like they're not going to be asking, you know, the male agents to meet them for lunch. They're going to have a phone call with them, and it's going to be going to be done.
Yeah, I've never seen it that way.
Yeah, so have respect for yourself. I think if you're a woman in business and
Actually, if you're a woman, period.
yeah,
Please.
100%.
Okay, preach, preach. Yeah, yeah.
You do not have like you're not competing with men. You have something to offer, and if you're talented and you're good at what you do, then that's it. You have nothing to prove. You don't have to show off. You know what I mean? You don't have to show off. You don't have to dress up. You don't have to just you do you.
Do you exactly?
Yeah.
And I think it's an important message that you be sending there to all the women out there that want actually to do something, take care of something, have do themselves. You know, be you. Don't change for us. We're not worth it.
Yeah, you don't have to laugh at jokes that are not funny.
I'm actually funny, so y'all need to laugh. But yeah, no, I think it's an important thing that you just mentioned. Don't change for if you think, if you believe in something, if you believe in yourself, and you know that you're gonna get somewhere. Like don't change the way you think. Don't change the way you work for men, especially for you if you're a woman. Like, keep this up. Like, you guys can do so much, and I respect you guys for that. Wow, well, that was my cute moment.
Yes.
All right.
So yeah, before we're talking about main things that people should know about themselves before throwing themselves in the on the market.
Sorry about that.
No, don't be sorry. That was a great.
That ring just blew my eyes.
That was a great side note. I love it. But so basically, you know, get your checks in order. You know, get your life in order. Make sure you have all your X's and O's.
Know what the next step is, like, especially if you're selling. Like, where are you planning on going? Can you afford where you want to go? You know, what you can afford, is that worth leaving what you currently have? If you can't sell this place, are you open to renting it and keeping it as income property? Can you handle having income property? There's a whole bunch of questions you should ask yourself.
There's like really 5 of those questions I never thought about.
Yeah. So if you're really not sure, then you should reach out to a real estate agent, and they'll tell you. Like that, I'll have sometimes buyers even call me, and they'll say, you know, you helped my cousin buy last year, and I want to buy. And I'll start asking them some questions, and I'll get the feeling like, okay, like they really don't know what they're doing yet. So I tell them, you know, before we go visit anything, I need you to do this, this, and this. And then we're going to have a conversation, and we're going to go from there. Because a lot of agents will just, you know, they're hungry, they want a client. They're going to say, okay, no problem, I'll book 8 visits for you next weekend. And then they've wasted the client's time. And sometimes, let's say the client is under the assumption that their budget is $300,000. Okay, and you go show them condos that are around that range. And then they find out that their budget is really $250,000. Now, every condo they're seeing in the $250,000 range, they're comparing to the ones in the $300,000 range.
Oh, yeah. So now everything becomes like,
everything is a letdown. Everything becomes a letdown. So then you've just shot yourself in the foot as a broker, and your clients are discouraged. And then they start to think, you know what? Well, maybe we'll wait till next year. And what's happening, because the market is doing so well, is that next year that condo is going to cost $300,000.
Exactly.
You know, so it's a whole thing. So it's better in the interest of the real estate agent and the seller or buyer
to wait,
to make sure that they have everything in order.
Exactly.
So don't accept.
Exactly. You know. Have your plan, and then
ready,
go on the attack.
No, can I have a juicy story? Like, what is it? What, like a difficult,
like a difficult visit?
Yeah.
Like the worst.
A weird
weirdest,
one.
Weird. I made up a word, like weird worst visit that you went through.
Okay. Well, one time, there was another duplex in Lachine. I was visiting with those clients.
It starts well.
And they did an inspection on it, and we found like a hatch in the basement that opened up.
There was a hatch?
Yeah, it was like it crawled to the crawl space, and in the crawl space, we found
a body,
a chair and chains.
Oh my God.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know, it was really, really messed up.
Wait, did the guy know about it? The seller know?
The sellers did not know about it. We asked them about it, and they were like, we have no clue. Wait. Maybe we had some tenants that were into like some kinky stuff, but it freaked my clients out so much. They ran away. They're like, no.
Was there like, did you do like DNA testing? Did you do that CSI thing where you have that light? You have the light, and then you see like if there's blood
sperm.
Or
yeah, you can see it. But oh yeah.
I prefer that basement remain a mystery to me. Like, I don't want to.
That is crazy.
I don't want to know.
Wait, it was a chair.
It was a chair, like a metal chair and chains on the ground. It was like, no, never again. And I remember there was silence. Like the inspector went down there and then he was like, "Oh, I've never seen anything like this before." And then the buyer went down there and then there was nothing, like just complete silence. And like I hate going into crawl spaces because it's really dirty, obviously, and there's spiders, and I hate spiders. And I was like, well, let me see what's going on. So I went down the first few steps. I put my head down. I was like, nope. I'm back up. I was like, end of inspection. Let's get out of here.
It's a
So,
good
like, no one mentioned it, nothing about that chair. We never talked about it. That thing did not hit TVA News. No.
Nope, I guess not.
Okay.
I guess the seller just went,
Just went along with it. It was like, yo, yeah, there's a chair here.
It's a good storyline for a movie, though.
oh god.
Yeah, you visit a house and there's a chair.
Yeah,
There's a
like
chair
The
with chain.
Visit.
The Visit.
The Visit.
Get Out, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of shit. It's like a lot.
What's the most disgusting thing that you've seen while you're visiting a house that you had to sell, actually?
Well, wait, would you accept a house to sell if you feel like the house is not appropriate?
It
Like
depends.
it's too like some weird shit or
If
something
it's
like
gonna be like a flip, like if I see that there's gonna be investors who are gonna be interested in a property like that, then fine.
Okay.
But if it's a seller who wants top
live
dollar for their
there.
unit and it's a mess, or for example, let's say they have carpets and they have dogs that pee on the carpet ceiling and it's just like that ammonia kind of smell when you walk in, then no way in hell. Like I tell them, like, look, either you fix it up and you make it worth what you're going to be asking for it, or you get ready to, it's not worth it.
You mentioned something. You mentioned dogs.
Yeah.
I heard a rumor about you visiting houses with a dog that like pops out of a bag or something.
Yeah, I have 2 chihuahuas.
And you visit houses with them?
Yeah, well, only one of them. His name's Kevin. He's my OG Chihuahua.
Okay.
And he doesn't know he's a Chihuahua, I don't think. He just thinks he's like a person. I called him my co-listing agent for a long time. And I used to take him everywhere with me. He used to go to visits. He used to go to inspections. Like he would always just like be really quiet and just like look around and watch. And then I'd stop in the middle of the day and we'd stop at a dog park somewhere and let him run. And it was nice. But then the more my business started progressing, like the longer my days became. And I found like he was getting kind of irritated towards the end of the day, especially when people went to go pet him or, went to go grab him because he's little.
Isn't that like getting points? No,
I'm sure it helped you sell or buy stuff.
I mean, people either loved it or hated it. I'll be honest. Like some of you, if you're not a dog person and someone shows up with a dog, like I get it. It's not their thing. I didn't really care.
Kevin.
I didn't care. I love Kevin. He was my like my little companion. But yeah, I felt like he wasn't enjoying himself as much towards the end, and he was becoming like that.
Yeah, that's
because
he wasn't getting paid.
Exactly, he wasn't getting paid. So then I got the second one, and they're like best friends. So every once in a while, like when my boyfriend will chauffeur me around town, we'll bring the 2 of them. We'll all go out as a family. But yeah, they like just being dogs.
So back to real estate.
I feel like I just keep on like talking about stuff.
No, it's good. You have a bit of everything.
I don't plan on stopping.
This is day and night, man. We talk about everything.
Day and night and day and night.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So I would like to know, how do you help some people come to a decision? Because it's a big deal, right? And do you sometimes help them, people, sellers or buyers, say, hey, we've visited like 1,000 houses.
Kind of.
It's been a year.
Yeah.
This is the best thing we've seen.
Yeah.
What's holding you back? Do you sometimes have to massage it? Do you sometimes have that like people have some fear or difficulty to let things go and to go to the next step of their lives?
Yeah, it's very common because especially now there's a lot of stock on the market too. So people will visit a place and they'll say, oh well, I just want to see a few more before I make my decision. And then when they decide that that was the one, there's already 3 offers on it and they've lost it. So I think that because of the market trends right now, people like it takes like 1 or 2 max properties to lose before they're like, okay, now when I find something, I need to act on it.
So they have to be prepared to lose 1 or 2 things that
but I usually and it depends on the client. I'll feel them out. Some of them you need to let them lose that one property. Because if you push them too soon, they'll
They
feel
won't
like
believe
they're
you.
being
They won't
pushed.
like exactly.
Yeah, they feel like you
yeah.
just want to make a sale, and it's not like most of the time if I'm pushing a client, it's because I know that there's a good opportunity in front of them. But if they haven't been
Okay.
working with me very long, they're like, oh, I don't like that. I feel pressured.
Okay, so
So-
so sometimes you do let the the customer
they
see
need
like
to-
for yourself. Okay,
Yeah.
That's how it
So
is
I'll
with
tell
people. They
them-
learn better
Yeah.
when they
By
actually go
themselves.
through it.
Exactly. So I'll say, look,
Wow.
I think you have a really great opportunity here. If you're ready to put an offer, I think you should put an offer. But I'm going to leave the ball in your court. And they'll say, you know what, Cassandra, I just want to see a few more places. And I'll say, okay.
Yeah.
And then,
but in
They
your head
lose
you're
it.
like,
Yeah, you gonna lose it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and then sometimes then they'll start to they'll find a property and they're like, okay, we're ready to put an offer in, and let's say they're asking $250, okay, and I'll say, well, look, there's a lot of action on this condo. I think you should go in close to asking because the comparables show that they're asking a very fair price. So I think you should go as close to asking as possible. And they'll say, oh, and then they'll start to get that hesitation. Well, we think we'll offer $230 and see how it goes, and then they'll lose it in multiple offer. And so it's a whole learning process. That's why I'm saying you really need to find an agent that you click with because you're going to go through a lot of emotional ups and downs.
I feel emotional right now. Like
Yeah.
you're telling me it's not even my house.
Yeah, I mean, I've lost properties personally too, and it sucks. So,
Damn, that's a
Yeah.
crazy market right there, man.
yep,
It's crazy. You don't sleep on that.
no,
And as a buyer, are there any other ways to be attractive to the seller apart from just giving a better price? And same thing opposite for a seller. Are there any other things to be more attractive to the buyer other than changing the price? Are there intangibles that we don't know about? Some inside scoop that you can tell us about?
it depends. If you want to make your offer attractive, I'd say try, if you can, keep your delays short. So your delays for getting your proof of financing and your delays for inspection. The standard used to be 14 days. So you'd ask for 14 days to get proof from the bank that you're going to be accepted and 14 days to do your inspection. So if you can shorten the 14 days for inspection, for example, to 6, okay, then at least the sellers are like, well, at least they'll do their inspection fast, and then we'll know faster if there's something's going to come up or if they're going to try to renegotiate, or it puts them at ease. Because for you to ask a seller to put their entire listing on hold for 2 weeks, sounds crucial. They'll lose other offers in that time period.
Okay.
So
When you say inspection, sorry, just going back, what do you mean by that?
Okay,
Who
so
does
in
that?
this-
I remember that. I did that
Yeah.
because I bought a condo,
Okay.
and then there was this dude that came, and then to the house and thing before I bought it, and then he checked the bathroom, he checked like the electrical thingies, and then you should talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it. You should talk
Yeah.
about it,
Basically,
Cassandra, because you know your stuff. I was just there.
That's it. So they verify like the current state of the property. They'll tell you if anything needs to be replaced. They'll tell you if something isn't conform with the city laws anymore. They'll tell you if you need to change your panel, your electric panel, it's too old, or if there's
Mold or-
aluminum wiring.
Okay.
They'll tell you, hey, you're gonna have a hard time getting this place insured with this kind of wiring. So they
okay.
I mean, they inform you of what the home is, like what are you looking at. They give you the breakdown of what you're buying.
And you have to
essentially.
pay for them.
You have to pay
Yeah.
for them.
Is
They're-
that something a service that a real estate agent offers, or is it?
no?
A,
So this is
like,
this
what is-
whole
what
other
is-
thing. We'll help you find an inspector. Like we're by law required to offer you at least 3 references of a
Okay.
home inspector for a home inspector,
Okay.
because we can't have a conflict of interest if we just offer you one and things don't go well. But the main purpose of an inspector is to understand what you're buying, okay, and also for the inspection report that they're going to provide for you after, because that report, if ever, let's say, you find a hidden defect, okay, the spring comes and all of a sudden water starts pouring into the basement, and you're like, the seller didn't declare that there was any water infiltration, okay, and you have to take that seller to court. The first thing the judge will ask is, did you have it inspected? Okay, so if you didn't have it inspected and you tried to save $500,
Oh, some people
okay.
don't have it inspected.
no, some people are like, oh, well, my dad knows a lot about construction,
we
so I'm
had
going
to.
visit with my dad.
Oh.
No, it's highly recommended. You don't have to.
Okay.
But if the judge says, if you tell the judge, no, I didn't do an inspection because my dad is a contractor and he knows construction, then they don't see you as doing your due diligence as a
Yeah,
buyer.
facts.
So
Makes sense.
automatically
You can lose.
they're gonna be more on the seller's side, because you know, he can just say, hey, that was visible when they visited, and you have no proof. Whereas when you have an inspection report, you know, that section of the basement might say, you know, some signs of water infiltration, in which case you could always sue the inspector for not, you know, advising you more, or, you know, it's a good document to have. It's worth the investment.
Damn,
like
I don't know where I put
$100.
mine.
You could always contact the inspector, and they'll just charge you a small fee to reprint it if they still have it.
I don't remember who it was, but hey,
no.
Oh my God.
I got you now, so you can help me out. Find a brother out.
Sure.
Damn.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. You should have been there in my life before. I feel like, yeah. I remember my inspector, the only thing that he mentioned that I remember till this day was that in the shower,
Yeah.
you know, like there's a red thingy and a blue thingy that shows you hot water and cold water. It was like, yo, fam. I was like, yeah. Blue is supposed to be cold and red hot. I was like, duh. It was like, okay, but
It's the opposite.
it's the opposite. I was like, I'm still buying, man. And he was like,
yeah.
Okay.
As long
Fair
as
enough,
that
fair
wasn't
enough.
the only as long as that was the only red flag, I'd say that's okay. But sometimes if you go into like newer construction,
so it
and
was
you
okay,
see-
right?
It's okay if it's just one thing, because
See, I did a good
when they
thing.
put up a condo project, they're doing you know, as much as they can in a short time frame. So there'll be little mistakes. But if you see multiple signs like that, like I don't know, like an electrical outlet that's crooked, you know what I mean, or they forgot to put caulking in the back of the countertops, or like little things like that, you don't want to buy a product that was like rushed through either. You want to.
Yep, trust.
So if
you
that was
don't.
the only thing that they found in your condo, that's great.
That's the only thing I remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, when you find that report, send it to me.
Help.
And for a seller, is there anything that they can do to make their property more attractive apart from just
I mean,
changing the price?
make it pretty.
Ooh,
you know,
pretty. Okay,
stage it a
so
little
don't
bit.
leave your grandmother's furniture there.
No, and if you have pictures of your family, as cute as your kids are, you know, as lovely as grandma's 107th birthday was, take the pictures down.
Take it down.
It was
Take
drunk
them
as.
down.
Oh, take him down. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
take them down. Put them in a box. Like, you're going to be moving anyways. Take all the personal stuff, you know what I mean? Like, if you found a seashell on your last vacation and it's next to your bathroom sink, take it away.
Okay,
Like,
you gotta
all
make
these
it
little
like
things. You
sell
need-
ready, like
yeah.
ready to be sold.
It needs to look like a home. Like I said, a
Neutral.
house and not a home. They don't want to see your personal stuff there. They want to imagine their own things there. So all these little reminders that another family is currently living there actually really turns off the buyer. It's been proven. Like they've taken the same house
Really?
and they showed it to like 50 buyers where there was a lot of personal objects around the home, and then they showed it to another 50 buyers where there were no personal objects, and like the difference was crazy.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
I should not have left that condom.
Oh,
next
wow.
question.
Oh my God. Okay.
We said personal, did we?
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm learning. I'm learning.
If a person, you know, for our audience again, if they want to get into real estate because it's a great way to invest money, what is the type of property that you would recommend for like a
Whatever you
first
can.
time?
And the differences.
Whatever I can.
Okay, well,
differences
it
between
depends.
Like a
when you're
tiny
buying.
house. I saw documentaries on Netflix about tiny houses.
I
Should
don't know
get?
where you can park them, but to be honest, I don't know much about tiny houses.
No, I don't think
I've
it's legal
watched
yet
the YouTube
here.
videos. They're very cute. I would probably buy one for me.
Yeah.
Or your
But I
dogs.
don't know about like investment wise. Yeah, or imagine they had their own tiny house.
Boom.
That would be
Yeah.
great.
I
Killed it.
don't think it's
You're welcome,
legal.
Kevin. I
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah, a little paw
But-
scanner on the door. So only they can go in.
Yeah. Oh my God, that would be so cute.
But
Yeah. So any type of investment, like
well, look, it depends because a lot of people think, oh, the best investment is a Plex. I'm going to get a Plex, but they don't know anything about roofs and foundations and
Renovation.
exactly.
Renovations.
So then when little issues come up, it's actually going to cost them a lot more because they have to hire outside contractors, and if they haven't already worked with outside contractors and they don't have those kinds of connections, they can get really badly screwed over for
Yep.
costs. Then all of a sudden, this Plex that was meant to be super profitable is actually it's
Burning money.
killing you.
Yeah.
So for me personally, like my father's a contractor. Okay, and my fiance is a welder, and my brother works in construction. So,
Okay,
like, I have
so
all
she's
these people
done.
around me,
She's
but I
good.
still didn't buy a Plex because you know
Really?
what? I don't have enough time for a Plex. You know what I mean, I don't have time to do windows
But
changing.
I've
and-
heard about. Well, I've met a whole lot of entrepreneurs who like their businesses was taking care of
Yep.
like renting stuff like that.
Yeah, so you
Like,
could buy a property manager, but
Yeah.
like I haven't met the right property manager yet.
Yeah.
I've met a few of them. I've tried to work with a couple of them, but at the end of the day, I like to run. I like to know what's
Do
going
your
on with
own
my
thing, right?
investments. Exactly. So
Yeah.
I like buying condos. I
Okay.
try and buy.
What's
one
the
condo a
difference
year.
between a condo and a plex when it comes to
So
management?
with your
and-
condos, you're paying condo fees. You look for a reputable building. You're going to pay your condo fees, and ideally, if it's a good syndicate and everything's running smoothly, everything's taken care of for you. So the roof is paid by the syndicate. The snow removal is done for you.
Yeah.
The windows are clean.
It
the
Lawn
runs,
roof's
it
mowing.
runs by itself.
It
right?
runs by itself, so it's
Yeah.
going to cost you a little bit more on like a monthly and yearly basis for a condo. But for me, it's a lot easier because I'm busy. You know what I mean? I
Peace
don't
of
have
mind.
time to do all those things. I don't have time to like guilt trip my father and my fiance into like doing work for me. You know, because that's what it, like my father will never charge me for these things, but then I still have to get him in there, and like just that the thought of using up all that mental energy just is too much. So I have my condos now. I have one little house in Lachine that I did buy that wasn't a condo. And that was just because I know that it could be bulldozed and I could put up a triplex there. So in the future, if I am ready for a plex, I'm either going to build my own triplex there or I'm going to sell it to an investor who wants to do exactly that. I got it for like $150,000 on Duproprio.
Wow.
In Montreal?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So condos, you rent out the condo or is
Yeah.
it for yourself?
No, we rent them out.
Is it hard to rent out? Because I heard that there was like there's a boom in the market in
It
condos
depends.
in Montreal, and there's a bunch of
It depends.
empty
So
condos.
I always tell people if you're going to go for condo as your investment, get something that isn't cookie cutter. So the first one I got was a loft in
Wait, I'm
Lachine.
sorry, could you repeat that?
A cookie cutter condo. So like a
Okay.
condo that looks just like all the other condos, you know, where you walk in and there's the kitchen, the living room. Oops, sorry, I touched the mic. The living room and then a bedroom on each side. And like then in that building, there's 10 other landlords who are also trying to rent the exact same unit.
Thing.
You know what I mean? So you
Okay.
think like the actual market value of that place, let's say $1,500 a month, but because you're competing with so many people with the exact same product,
You have to
you're
bring it
you're
lower.
forced to bring it lower. And then try increasing rents with the Régie de Logement and all the rules and regulations. It's not
Wait,
easy.
those rules still apply to condos, aren't they? To like
Yeah, because you're entering into a lease, like so you're a
it's
landlord.
the lease, yeah. Fact. I have a quick question. Like in like a comparison between like I am buying a plex to live in it and rent like maybe like the two other spaces versus I plan on buying a plex and completely rent it. What are the differences
Differences.
in terms of like
Well,
rules?
you're gonna have to put a smaller down payment if you're gonna occupy it.
If I occupy it, I pay less as a down payment.
Yeah, so that's what we do. We've moved every year for the last 6 years. Every year we move
Wow.
because we find something we like and we put the
You live in
smallest
it.
down payment down and we live in it for 1 year and then we wait for the next one. Because for me, it's better to have more cash flow than to put everything in one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I can put $10,000 down on a property opposed to like $40,000, I'm always gonna put the 10.
10,000.
Whoa,
Of
that's
course.
the difference?
Yeah,
10,000?
Well, let's say like
40?
it's 5. Let's say 5%. You know
Versus-
what I mean? Versus 20% if you're not
Okay.
gonna occupy.
Oh, okay.
So,
So
yeah.
it's better to live in it a bit.
Yeah. Also, I like to know what I'm offering people. So, like, if I lived in the building,
You
I
know
understand the
yeah.
building. When I rent it out, if the tenants say, "Hey, like these people are, you know, parking and blocking the exit," I'm like, "Oh, I know who those people are. Okay, I'm gonna call them." You know, it's not. I understand the area. I know where they're gonna go do their grocery shopping. I know where they can catch the bus if they need
Yeah,
to. Like,
you
I
know the
what
product.
I'm selling.
The intangibles.
Yeah, and that's what's
Yeah.
it's really valuable for me as a real estate agent because it helps me understand different areas of Montreal too. So, yeah. Long story short, invest where you can and where you can realistically see yourself, you know, managing something and dealing with something. Because if you bite off more than you can chew, then your investment will very quickly go downhill.
Yeah.
Me myself, I kind of wanted to invest in a cottage and have my cottage and rent it out. Like, what would you suggest for someone who wants to do that? Because there is a market for that, and it's becoming more and more popular. People
Yeah.
renting out cottages, you know, an hour away from Montreal.
Yeah.
So yeah,
There you'd probably have to look for someone that you trust in the area because if something goes wrong or if there's a leak or, you know, you can't be driving back and forth an hour every
that
time.
makes sense. Yeah.
So if you can find someone who manages
take care of the
similar
place.
properties in the area, you know, then 100%. And most people are can be very friendly too. So if you call someone who's on Airbnb, for example, who has a chalet, and you say, "Hey, you know, I'm an investor. I feel free to say no, but I was just calling to wondering if you have a property manager that you use. And sometimes they'll tell you to go to hell, and sometimes they'll be like, yeah, actually I do. It's this company. I've been working with them for 2 years.
One of the extremes, huh?
Yeah,
you
so
either go to hell or you get help.
Exactly. So do your homework, because I think if you're going to take on something, especially for the first time, it's helpful to have people, in your court who know what they're doing.
You mentioned something really cool, actually, Airbnbs. Quick question. Would you buy a property and then Airbnb it versus actually renting it? What are the pluses, minuses?
Yeah, people are doing that
Yeah.
more and
Isn't
more.
it?
Yeah.
Like if you get like a cool condo in downtown Montreal, like top floor, you get to see how's it called, the thing where the Canadians keep them losing?
Centre Bell.
Centre Bell, right next to the Centre Bell, so you can see them lose live. Like, would you rent it or Airbnb it?
I know a lot of people who are making good money with Airbnb. It's just, it takes a lot more
investment in terms of like in time.
Yeah, because you have to be answering messages and scheduling, and you have to get someone who's going to come in and clean every time. And then if they're throwing a party, like, how are you going to find them? If they leave it a mess, are you going to pursue it, or are you just going to pay for it out of pocket to have it cleaned up? If the neighbors are complaining because they bought it to occupy, and you're renting it out to people who are partying after the Bell Center concert every weekend, and they can hear it through the walls, and I'm sorry, but even if it's like the best construction and concrete building, if there's a party, you will still hear it,
especially if I throw that party. Whoop, whoop, whoop,
exactly. So it's like a whole other ball game there. But like I said, if you have a job that will allow you more hours, more flexibility, or if you have people that you trust that can help you with it, then there is a lot of potential for Airbnb. Personally, I like to rent them long term. There's different rules and regulations when you rent something long term, and it's more stability.
Yeah, stability. I agree. Like Airbnbs, if no one wants it for like that weekend, it's empty.
That's it. And I always tell people, don't look at the month-to-month profit of your investment. Look at the
yearly,
year-to-year
exactly,
profit.
always.
Exactly.
It'll show you something more.
For example, my first investment that I bought in Lachine, it was a loft in the old steel factory on First Avenue. And it was really unique. That's why I bought it. Because I had other people telling me, don't buy something like very, similar. Get something like that's one of a kind. So I got that. I rented it out right away. And my rent that I was getting for it was just covering my mortgage payments, my taxes, and my condo fees. So I was like breaking even. Exactly, breaking even.
There.
But that condo that I bought in 2015 for $210,000 is now worth around $290,000.
Wow.
So exactly. So it's increased by a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For 3 years, I haven't done anything with it. I lived in it for a year, and I've just been renting it out. And that's what matters. You need to go for a property that you'll see long-term growth in. Now we moved to Brossard, which I didn't see myself going back to Brossard before I had kids, but I saw an opportunity come up there. And, Brossard with the new bridge and the new train system that's going to be in the Distrant, that's the first stop, is right there in Distrant. Prices there are going to go up.
So you buy early?
Yep.
Buy and move.
Yeah.
Was that your thing?
Buy and move.
Like buy what you always buy and then live in the place, whether it's a condo, duplex, it's the same law that applies.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there some laws that people should be aware of that could be to their advantage when it comes to buying or selling?
Disadvantage, most likely. Laws.
Buying or selling,
There's always like a first-time buyers programs that the government will offer. Like I know in Montreal, they were offering for first-time buyers a free Opus card for a year. Sometimes you can get cash back up to. At one point they were offering cash back up to $8,000 off your down payment. I mean, there's the programs are always changing, and it depends on the city too. So I would say just do your homework on where you're planning on buying and see if there's anything. Because if you don't know, if your agent doesn't tell you, or if you don't do your homework, then you're not going to get it. You know what I mean? If you can get a free Opus card for a year, then go get it.
If you don't know about it.
If you don't know about it, they're not going to give it to you. They're not going to be like, hey, you forgot your Opus card.
Yeah, not for free stuff.
Yeah.
But you might end up, paying more too, because I know when you buy a house, there are all types of taxes and stuff that you have to pay them. I'm like, what?
If you buy new construction, you have to pay taxes on it. But if you buy something that was pre-owned, there are no taxes, but you do have to pay a welcome tax.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Hi.
You know what's crazy?
Pay this extra money.
The thing is that the dude that came up with that tax, his last name was actually Bienvenue.
Yeah, that's why.
That's
Is
why
that
we.
why?
That's
Yeah.
why we call
Oh
it
my
la
God.
taxe de Bienvenue.
Oh my
It's a
God.
dude's name. You ain't welcome. You paying.
Yeah.
We need people to know about that. Y'all ain't welcome. Y'all paying.
On that note, I don't think I've been to one notary appointment where someone hasn't made the joke like welcome, haha. I think I've heard it like 300 times now. I'm like ha 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 ha. Okay.
I'd like to take like a quick second and talk about, because you mentioned how you like came about taking this path and like towards your career and stuff. And I was wondering, can you tell me about like the advantages of doing you, like working for you, instead of having a boss telling you, all right, so this is your schedule. You work from 9 to 5, and then if you work from 9 to 5:30, you get 30 minutes paid extra. But I'm not gonna pay it.
Okay,
because-
well, the benefits are, there's a lot of benefits. Like I
Ooh.
travel a lot now. Like I love traveling. I never could before. You know what I mean? And I went to Peru last year. I went to Greece. I went to Paris for like 3 days a month ago.
What helps you travel a lot? Is it because you got more time? Is it because
It's
you
just
got
because
more
I
money?
can. So when I see like a seat
'Cause you
sale come
can.
up, I can go. You know what I mean? I don't have a boss who's gonna fire me. I don't have, but at the same time, I also don't have anyone who will fire me if I don't start working at, 8 a.m. If I want to sleep in that day, there's no one who's gonna call me and be like, "Hey, where the hell are you?"
Not even Justin. Not even Justin gonna be like, "Yo, you better work because I gotta eat."
Justin's out of the house at like 4:45 every morning. Poor guy.
Oh my God.
Back at 2, right?
I have a lot of respect for him because I would never ever. I don't
I
know.
feel you.
I don't even hear his alarm anymore. Like, nothing wakes me up. But yeah, so you have to have a lot of self-discipline to be able to do it because, all the advantages are also disadvantages.
Facts. Like your taxes, you gotta make sure that at the end of the year you'll be ready to pay everything because you're the one that has to take care of it now.
Exactly. So like I'll get a check for it's like $10,000 and I'm like, okay. Like,
Wait, time out. You get one check? That says 10.
Yeah, the average commission check is around 5 to 6.
Okay.
That's for like the average price property, and if they're higher, then they're higher.
Why am I working?
But I have to remind myself, okay, like that $10,000 right away, $5,000, and you take that out, put it into like a savings account because that needs to
At
go
the end
aside
of the
for-
year.
needs to be aside for my taxes. And sometimes it's very tempting to be like, I'll think about that later. More checks will come. More
Yeah.
checks will come.
You never know.
For this one, I'm gonna splurge. I'm gonna go to Greece. I'm gonna see my family. I'm gonna YOLO all over the island. I'm gonna buy
Good.
dinner for
YOLO.
I
everyone.
got no family in Greece, so I'm good.
Yeah. But so yeah, it takes a lot of self-discipline. You need to, like the cold calls we were talking about, you need to force your
Discipline.
as good as your business is, you still need to always be putting those feelers out there. You still need to always be making those connections because even though you're having repeat business now, if you stop soliciting, it'll stop. Your business will stop eventually.
Okay, I see you.
Well, that's amazing. Do you have any words of inspiration for people who work or people who come out of school or people who have a job that maybe they don't like and they're kind of feel like they're stuck? What it takes to say, okay, I'm going to work for myself. I'm not gonna have a safety net. I'm gonna be paid by commission, and maybe I'm not gonna have a paycheck for 3 months. But in 2 years, maybe 2 or 3 years, maybe I'm gonna be making 6 figures.
Yeah.
And you know what? Even better than that, I have a word for these people that are actually women that have nothing to do, that are looking for something to do.
Okay.
What could be the word for you? I see her as a strong woman that took care of her shit, but spread it.
I think that life is too short not to take a risk on something that you can see yourself being passionate about or that you're already passionate about. It's too short. You know what I mean? You can get hit by a bus tomorrow. So just go for it. But I think at the same time, be willing to accept if it's not working. If it's not working for you, you need to know, you need to recognize it and start on the next thing. Don't get discouraged. Like, just keep going. Just keep going, go with the punches. If something isn't for you, accept it early on and find something else and move on. Because I think sometimes people, just the act of, let's say, quitting their job and starting in something and taking that risk, once they're in it, if it's not working, it's like, well, I've already come this far. I quit my job for this. I can't stop now. But maybe it's not for you. And that's okay. You know what I mean? Like that was the realization that I came to in film. It's not for me. So what, I'm gonna be killing myself for something that it's just not working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And at that point, I had so many people, so many people from my high school were sending me messages, and they're like, "Oh, it's amazing that you're working in this industry, and good for you, and blah blah." And you also have it in your head that people are gonna see you as a failure if you give up on something.
All right,
But
so
it's
can
okay.
you please tell people not
Fail,
to care about what people say.
Fail and fail again,
Yes.
and
Fail
screw
as much
those
as
people.
y'all need to.
Exactly, and but like I said, just don't be afraid to try and fail,
And
then
go
try
all
and
in.
fail again, and then try and fail again, and then eventually you will find success.
Yeah, and you really went all in. I mean, you sold your car, you went back to the bus, SDM, you got a cheaper. So people have to be willing to make sacrifice.
Always.
Yep.
So sacrifice and passion,
Yep.
I think are
And work hard, and people will notice you, because more and more, like I'm seeing that people just do not have that drive anymore. People don't want to work. You know, like
real estate agents.
I recently invested in a company that has nothing to do with real estate, and it's a virtual reality gaming center.
Okay, that's the next thing, though. That's the next thing.
It is the next thing, and I saw an opportunity, so I jumped on it. But part of the process was I told them I wanted to have a bigger role in the company. I saw some of the flaws with the hiring process and their managers and whatever, and I said, you know what, let me take a more active role and let me help you guys get up to speed with everything. So I personally started. I felt bad, but I fired a lot of people. But they didn't want to work. Like I'd get to the store sometimes, and there would be an employee who the store opened at 10, and she'd get there at 10:45 with McDonald's breakfast, eating pancakes at the counter, and I was like, holy hell! I was like, wow, you have a lot of nerve. But so I said, okay, we're gonna start from scratch.
I mean, they're pancakes, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I wanted them.
You told the truth.
Yeah. But I said, we're gonna start from scratch. We're gonna start hiring people. It'll be great. For the manager position, okay, it was like a decent salary that we were offering, and I set up, let's say, 30 interviews. Out of the 30 interviews, 5 would show up, 4 would be late.
Four would be late at an interview.
Yeah, one showed up wearing a belly top. I was like,
what is a belly top?
Like a crop top? Like showing full belly button and everything. I was
Please tell me that was a girl. Please tell me that was a girl. Please tell me. Okay.
I mean, I know virtual reality is the new thing, and it's
video games.
But like, come on, there's still professionalism in everything.
Like we were saying, have respect for yourself. But,
thank you. I said that. That was me.
Girls, ladies, do not wear a crop top to an interview.
Up to the interview expecting a man, and she's like, "This is gonna be my technique here." But she was in for a surprise when I was like, "Oh, I see you came for the beach, and you're late." But yeah,
so only one of them was kind of okay.
Only one, and we hired him, and he's amazing. But and he's so amazing because he just works. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't call in sick for no reason. If we need something at the store and there's no one around, he will get in his car and he will go there. Like he's a hard worker, and we can recognize that now, and we respect it, and we honestly we will do whatever it takes to keep him with the company for as long as possible because he's like that. So that goes for anything you do in life. If you show dedication and you show that you're a hard worker, people will notice, just because there is not that much competition out there in that sense. You know what I mean? Even as a real estate agent or as any self-employed person, if you put passion into what you do, people will take notice.
Yeah, they will. They'll know.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, that's pretty much the time that we had for Ms. Kassandra Skoulikides.
Yes.
Oh, got it.
That's
got
all
it.
me.
That's right.
Yeah, we'd like to take a moment and thank you.
Thank you so much. So much
Kassandra.
knowledge.
All the knowledge,
Thank
the
you.
experiences.
Thank you.
All the things that you
wants
went
to reach
through.
out to me.
Yes.
Kassandra,
Well,
guys,
first of all, she's a
you know
wonderful
what?
real estate agent. How do we get in? How do our audience get into contact
Tell
with
them.
you?
So they can send me a text message at 438-938-3363, or they can find me on Instagram or Facebook. Facebook with my name, Kassandra Skoulikides, or Instagram, it's mtl.realestate.girl.
Okay.
Oh, that's
so how do you spell your last name for our audience? So Kassandra and then?
S like sandwich, K like kangaroo, O like ostrich, U like umbrella, L like lion, I like igloo, K like kangaroo, I like igloo, D like dog, E like elephant, S like sandwich.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so used to
She's
spelling
used to it.
Yeah. I had a girl at UPS the other day. She was like, "Don't spell it for me." She's like, "I'm very good at this. Just say it." And then I watched her just butcher it on the keyboard. And I was like, "I don't have time for this.
No,
Can you
for
just let me
real.
spell my
Like,
friggin' name?"
Why
Like,
did she even try?
I
You
know.
I mean, well,
she said it like she's like, "Oh, I can't. I wish I remember like the term she used, but like some like little fancy snowflake term that meant she was special or something." But then she just clearly wasn't.
Yeah,
'Cause
you lost me at
after 3
snowflake.
tries. Like, just give
Yeah.
me my order that you guys didn't deliver yesterday. Please, God, let me get out of here. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
All right.
complicated
But
name.
still, thank you, Cassandra.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
never thank you enough.
Thank you to our audience for listening. I hope you learned as much as I did today.
Damn,
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I really learned a lot. But then again, we gotta let Cassandra go because you
True.
know
True that.
she be selling houses
True that.
day and night and
that's
day and night. Come on,
That's right.
day and
Mm.
night.
Oh,
And she said
hey,
it.
she got it
All right.
right.
Day,
Thank
night,
you.
weekends.
Yes.
And it's a wrap.
A wrap.